In the 13th century, the global map was heavily fractured. Entrenched European kingdoms guarded their borders, while the once mighty Byzantine Empire slowly decayed into irrelevance. This decay left a massive void in global power. Millions of acres of territory sat essentially unclaimed, waiting for a force organized enough to take them. In 1299, a minor leader named Osman I stepped into that void. He commanded a small, unassuming frontier state on the edge of Anatolia. Osman recognized that territory wasn't held by numbers alone. He enforced a rigid, hyper-focused military discipline among his ranks and carefully negotiated political alliances with neighboring factions to rapidly absorb their strength. Within a few decades, what began as an isolated border territory calcified into a highly efficient engine of conquest. The Ottomans were organizing to challenge the established powers of the earth. To cross the threshold from a regional nuisance to a true global empire, the Ottomans required a capital that could command the world's attention. They needed Constantinople. Looking at the map, Constantinople was the absolute choke point of the known world. Every major artery of trade flowing between Europe and Asia funneled directly through its gates. But taking the city was considered physically impossible. It was ringed by the Theodosian walls, a sprawling, multi-layered system of moat, stone, and fortified towers that had stood unbroken for a millennium. For over 1,000 years, the greatest armies on the planet had thrown their total strength against these defenses, only to be completely shattered. To command 3 continents, the Ottomans had to find a way through a fortification the rest of the world considered a permanent dead end. In 1453, a young sultan named Mehmed II decided to confront that dead end directly. He developed a total, uncompromising obsession with taking the city. Mehmed understood that starvation sieges and wooden towers would fail, exactly as they had for centuries. The walls were simply too thick to climb or starve out. So he turned to cutting-edge engineering. He commissioned the casting of massive, custom-forged bronze cannons, artillery pieces of a scale and destructive power the world had rarely seen. When Byzantine ships and a massive iron chain blocked the primary harbor, Mehmed ordered his men to construct a wooden road over the hills. They manually dragged an entire fleet of warships over dry land to bypass the blockade entirely. Battered by relentless artillery fire, the ancient stone fortifications finally shattered. The city fell, erasing the final remnant of the Roman Empire. Mehmed claimed the city, renamed it Istanbul, and positioned it as the new beating heart of his expanding territory. This victory altered global logistics. By controlling the land-based gateway to the Silk Road, the Ottomans held a monopoly on the spice and silk trades, forcing European monarchs to fund high-risk oceanic expeditions in a desperate search for an alternative path. With its capital secure and borders aggressively expanded, the Ottoman administration shifted its primary focus. The era of the sword transitioned into the era of the scroll. This internal maturation peaked in the 16th century under Suleiman the Magnificent, a period widely documented as the empire's golden age. At this point, the administrative reach was staggering. Borders stretched deep into Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa. To manage millions of subjects, Suleiman instituted massive legal reforms, codifying local statutes into a centralized framework that maintained order. This stability fueled massive cultural investment. Architecture flourished as Ottoman designers seamlessly wove distinct Islamic artistry directly into the ancient Byzantine structures they inherited. Holding 3 continents together for 6 centuries rested on a foundation deeper than military force. It was the integration of a unified legal and cultural system that stabilized the daily lives of millions. But that stability eventually hardened into rigidity. Over the following centuries, the innovative spark of the Golden Age gave way to bureaucratic stagnation. While the Ottomans maintained their traditional systems, rival European powers were rapidly industrializing, modernizing their militaries, and closing the power gap. Internally, severe economic inflation began hollowing out the treasury. Concurrently, fierce nationalist movements began to fracture the empire's multi-ethnic borders from the inside out. The fatal blow arrived in 1914. Seeking to regain its lost prestige, the Ottoman leadership aligned with the Central Powers, and entered the mechanized meat grinder of World War I. The resulting defeat was absolute. The state collapsed, and the victorious Allied powers aggressively partitioned the remaining Ottoman territories to serve their own geopolitical interests. An empire that spent hundreds of years actively erasing borders to expand its reach was eventually torn apart by the very concept of modern national identities. However, the complete erasure of the state was halted by a fierce military resistance movement that rallied to defend the Anatolian core from foreign occupation. Led by Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, this movement successfully expelled the occupying forces, officially founding the modern Republic of Turkey in 1923. The Ottoman era was formally concluded. Yet a political conclusion does not equate to historical erasure. The ghost of the Ottoman system remains heavily imprinted on the modern world. You can trace this footprint through the towering architectural landmarks defining the Istanbul skyline, the culinary staples embedded across Mediterranean cultures, and the deeply contested political borders still drawn across the Middle East today. The modern dynamic between Europe and Asia is a product of the trade routes controlled and the bridges built by Osman I's expanding frontier state. The Ottoman Empire didn't simply vanish. Its structures, laws, and culture dissolved into the soil of the three continents it once commanded, permanently writing its legacy into the timeline of human history.